The Wildcat Sports Club CNY Brewfest is coming up January 31st and February 1st at the New York State Fairgrounds. Taste your way through unlimited samples from more than 100 breweries. Now featuring hard ciders, seltzers, craft cocktails, and mocktails too. Grab your tickets now at cnybrewfest.com.
To request an interview with Ben Johnson, to request an interview with Aaron Glenn, to request an interview with any of the other people, Mike Vrabel, whoever else it is that might have been out there. Vrabel obviously is off the market now. So what does he have up his...
This is the Etan and Devo Show. Here are former Syracuse standouts Etan Thomas and Eric Devendorf.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Etan and Devo Show. I'm excited to be on with E. E, we got a few things to talk about. Coach Red, the win versus BC. Obviously, JJ back playing, and they got a couple of really good contributions from a few guys against BC. But first off, how you doing, man? Good morning.
Good morning. I'm doing pretty good. Good to be on with you.
Yeah, absolutely, man. I'm excited to be on every Monday with you. We're gonna have more to talk about. Obviously, it's quick. You know, it's a half an hour show, but hopefully we get to extend that and get some callers on and talk a little bit more. But let's talk about Coach Red first. E.
Yeah.
I made some comments on TV against Florida State, and
yes, you did.
and I had some pretty interesting feedback. I guess it wasn't the most positive feedback, but Coach Red, you're making me look good right now.
I mean,
what do you got to say about that? E?
I mean, I want to hear what you say. You know, a lot of times when you win, winning can be a cure-all. So I'm sure a lot of the, fire red and, a lot of the people being upset and everything like that, you don't hear that as much now. We've had back-to-back wins. So he is making you look better. But how a lot of the people on social media got upset at certain comments that you made, saying that they didn't really know what they were talking about. That was a sticking point with them. But yeah, but tell me, what did you see, and where are you with the coaching situation? Because I know a lot of people want to hear you talk about that.
Yeah. Well, first off, I will say on the air, I did say he's doing an unbelievable job. All right, an unbelievable job. It might have been stretching it a little bit. E. All right, okay. We're 500. We're 8-8, but I think Red, he's doing the best with what he has. You're 4-3 with your best player, right? And then you lose your best player for 7 games. Okay, I don't care what team you are in the country. If you lose your best player, you're going to struggle a little bit. So, and what I was saying as far as like behind the scene things, and again, we don't have to share everything with the public, but right. It's just a whole new landscape with this NIL, right? Dealing with the kids, these kids are getting paid $500,000. They're getting paid more than some of the assistant coaches now. So how you deal with them, how you talk to them, it's totally different than from when me and you were playing. Coach Ben, how he could say he was saying anything he wanted to us, right? And we we're most likely coming back. If you say something to these guys now, I think Red's worrying about. If I say the wrong thing, is this kid going to transfer? Is he going to go elsewhere?
See,
whatever it is.
Let me jump in. I don't know if I see that. I think that there was a lot of talk before when I think that he pulled Donnie out for a few missed defensive assignments. I don't remember which game it was, and a lot of people. On social media were worried about that. It was like, now he might transfer because, he the transfer portal, he could just leave. Or now if he's not playing the amount of minutes that he's supposed to play, or what's supposed to happen because of how much he's paid for NIL, we don't know if you should do that. But I haven't seen Coach doing that. He said, no, if I asked him to do X, Y, and Z, and he didn't do X, Y, and Z, I pulled him out. So I don't think that's what's going on. I know a lot of people like to think about that as far as the NIL, as far as NIL criticism, but I don't, at least I don't see that with Red. You know what I mean? Maybe other coaches, but we just talk about our coach. I don't see that with Red myself.
And what's your take on the talent? We got Eddie Lampkin obviously coming from Colorado. We got Jaquan Carlos coming in from Hofstra. These guys can play. They're Division I basketball players, but I think from, I guess, a Syracuse fan base perspective, they're used to seeing McDonald's All-Americans come in here and just right away just have a impact, being some of the best players on the floor. But now, again, with the transfer portal, it's different. You're not always going to get the best guys. You might have you're not going to have the pick of the litter if you don't have, the money for these guys. So again, like my comments about Red was he's doing the best with what he has, and that's no disrespect to the players. I think, you speaking on Eddie, and he's coming off 2 straight double-doubles, which is, I think he's been playing great. Carlos, he had a good December. He was averaging 10 points, 6 assists, but these guys are playing really to the best of their ability, if you think about it. I mean, Eddie was averaging 10 and 7 at Colorado. He's averaging about 10 and 7 here with Cuse. Juan Carlos, you would think he was 11 and 7. He's averaging about, 7 points, 6 assists, 5 assists, whatever it is. So it's not like these guys are so far off from what they've been at their other schools.
So you think that's the level of expectation that the fans have? I mean, I don't know. I don't know if I necessarily see. For one, winning cures all. So when you win, it's like the coach is doing a great job. When you lose, coach is doing a terrible job. That's what I see. And of course, there's different things that you could pick apart, and things become, winning kind of, hides a lot of the, deficiencies and mistakes that you might have that see where you don't necessarily pay attention to them as much because you won the game. But when you lose, it's a little bit different. And you're like, wait a minute, if we would have done this and this and this. And I think that's where some of the, just breaking down of where you see a lot of the ire and the anger from the fans is because we're losing. So I can't know. So I think that one of the things that we have to be careful of is, pointing too many fingers. And that's just part of the business. It's part of how it happens. If this person would have made more shots, if this person, but the part that I don't like, and this is me personally, because we mentioned NIL. Now that NIL is involved, I don't like when I hear people question the players' desire to play because they're getting paid. I just think that I hear that too much. I hear that, and it could just be that they're not making shots. There was one game we played, we didn't make any shots. No threes. Not one 3-pointer was made throughout the whole entire game. I don't know that's because that they didn't give the effort or they didn't want to make the shot or they don't have love for the game. They just was missing their shots, so I don't know. The NIL insertion in some of these conversations I don't particularly like, because now it's like, okay, this person did get this many rebounds and he's making X amount of dollars. Okay, what does the X amount of dollars have to do with him not getting X amount of rebounds? He just needs to rebound better. Oh, that's my opinion.
And I said this on air as well, and you might disagree with me.
Okay.
I always kind of go back to myself and how, I guess how hard I played and how much I really loved the game. And we didn't get paid for it in college back then, but right. I just loved to play basketball. Like I was going to carry that basketball with me wherever I went growing up, all the way through college, whatever it was. Uh-huh. So when I see some of these guys play, and, I guess I could go back, and it could be good or bad, comparing it to myself, I don't see the love of the game as much. And I'm not saying from every single player, and I'm not saying it's because they're getting paid now that they, but I do think that, with a lot of these guys, and it could be not just Syracuse, but just all over college basketball, they love what comes with it more so than the game itself. And I'm talking about the money, the attention, and everything that comes with college basketball. I just don't see the love of the game or the purity of the game like I used to see it. I mean, what's your take on that?
Well, I have a different take. I see guys that are playing, and it's a different style of play. So I will say that the style is completely different. So, like for me, I played the 5. I didn't shoot 1-3 my entire career at Syracuse, Yeah. So a lot of times I hear people saying, well, we don't have the rim protectors and the guys aren't, protecting like they should be. And I was like, well, they're also guarding the perimeter because the other team has 5s that shoot 3s. So they're covering the pick and roll and the pick and pop, and they're guarding somebody in the corner and they got to rotate out there. So yeah, the middle is going to be open. Sometimes that's just what it is. It's a different type of basketball. And also, the game is different. Me and whenever I meet, some guys that I used to play against, whether it's Jason Lawson or Jahidi White or, anybody, and we talk about the old days. And yeah, we were just beating each other up. That was what we did. The game is different now. So I don't know if I could necessarily accuse them of the big men now of not playing as hard. It's just a different game. All the stuff that we did, they were all been fouls. We all been fouled out, for the most part, because, or they would have got a double tech and everything like that, because as soon as you see anybody look at someone now, they're running to get a tech. That's not how it was back then. And I think that I think that a lot of times, again, going to your point, when people insert the amount of money that guys are making, and they say, okay, well, this person isn't making shots, it's because now they're making money, so now they're not as worried about it. I don't know if I could just make that correlation. I can't make that jump.
I think it's just me going back to reminiscing about my days and how we used to, like you said, beat up each other. And I remember being in practice with Coach Boeheim, and man, at least 2 to 3 times a week. I mean, we're competing so hard that we're getting in fights with each other. Mm-hmm. I mean, and I've been to numerous practices, since I've played at Syracuse, and I haven't really seen that. I don't know, and I'm not saying it has to be that, but it was just like a certain type of intensity and fire that that we played with and that we had to have.
The game is different, though, E. It's different. It's a different game. I mean, even in saying, like, so when we played and somebody drove to the basket and they got fouled and they fell down, they want to pop up as immediately as they possibly can and act like nothing hurt. Now, guys fall down and they just lay on the floor. I'm like, why are you laying on the floor so long? Because they're trying to see if they can get a flagrant. They're trying to get – it's just a different game. So a lot of times when we have those conversations, we got to admit we old. This is a new age. This is a new era. You know what I mean?
And then it's funny you say that, because when we were playing, or when I was playing, the guys were saying the same thing that we're saying about these guys now. So it's just like, I've turned into one of those guys.
Oh, we all have. We all have. Yeah, we all have. This is what happens. It's all good. But going back to Coach. A lot of the criticism before was of offensive execution or lack of offensive execution, especially down the stretch. I saw some pretty good offensive execution, just now against Boston College. What are your thoughts on that?
I mean, I thought the execution was give the ball to JJ and let him go ahead and get a bucket. But and there was some good spacing on the floor. I think they did a good job of, having Eddie at the top of the key. And, so JJ would come off, go to the corner. They'd have Bell come off or Taylor come off, and then JJ was coming off and had a decision to make off that handoff off the corner. But it's just make the game simple. Give your best player space to go ahead and make a decision and try to make a play, and that's what Rhett did. In his different ways to, I guess, make space for your team offensively. And just earlier in the year, they weren't doing that, right? And now I think what Red is asking of this team to do, they're starting to do it better and better. And obviously getting your best player back in J.J. Starling, helps everybody feel a little bit more at ease. So, yes, I definitely saw execution. And me and Paulie were talking before. They had a lob play to Jair Davis, which was a perfect play. He just didn't finish at the rim. Right. So it's definitely been better execution. But I think it just helps now with having your best player back and having these guys fall into the roles that they feel a little bit more comfortable with. But real quick, E, we're going to take a real quick commercial break, and then we're going to come back and talk about the win versus BC.
In service, Right Roofing and Sweet On Chocolate are proud supporters of Syracuse basketball radio coverage on ESPN Radio Syracuse. On the pulse of the orange, ESPN Radio 97.7 and 100.1.
Get 2025 off to a hoppy start at the Wildcat Sports Club Brew Fest, January 31st and February 1st at the New York State Fairgrounds. Taste your way through unlimited samples from more than 100 breweries. Now featuring hard cider and seltzer row.
Oh, sorry, guys.
Oh, okay, that's a lot better. Like that commercial's loud.
Oh, whoa, double Eric's on the screen right now.
Where are we at?
Oh, well, they switched spots. What do you guys, I don't know if it's true or not, but there's rumors that he kind of strong-armed Syracuse. He was the first guy they went after and they got, right?
Well, I heard he had.
Who are you talking about?
1 point.
Eddie.
I heard he had 1.4 from SMU.
Jeesh.
Or 1.2, something like that.
That would be a lot of money.
Yeah.
Damn.
I don't really know how the negotiation went.
Yeah, honestly. I don't either.
I mean, obviously, it went in his favor.
Like Syracuse isn't giving anybody $1.2 million.
No.
That's crazy.
No.
Well, maybe not yet. That could happen down the road a little bit. I mean, they just have to, we don't have the same collective as other people, but I think that's definitely something that can happen. I mean, in order to be able to compete with other people who are doing it, it's going to have to happen, to be honest with you.
Exactly. It's going to have to happen.
Yeah.
E coming back, we'll talk about the game, but we're going to ask about the battle between Eddie Lampkin and Venning.
Let's do it. Let's do it.
Your take from,
For sure.
They said, because I asked them about what they said in the paper, like about it being an old
Big East battle, yeah.
Yeah, well, no.
That's cool.
Donnie Abrams. Yeah.
Donnie Abrams.
Did you play against him, Donnie Abrams?
He was older than me, so I think that was in my freshman year when I was watching, but I think I saw Otis play against him.
Yeah, they're cousins.
Yeah, they are.
Those guys that's two big dudes, right?
Man.
Yeah. I mean, he's a big dude right now.
Yeah.
He's their GM, right?
Yeah.
Donnie?
Oh, is he? I didn't know that.
Dude.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, we were talking to him this weekend. He's a good guy.
Yeah,
Okay. Yeah, I didn't know that.
Yeah, he's
he was their radio guy, and they moved him to GM. He's
really?
He's a financial advisor.
Yeah, he owns an insurance company.
Yeah, and a financial advisor.
Didn't know that.
He's doing well in Boston.
Yeah, we can talk about that. Got to give Kyle Cuff a little bit of props at some point.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I'll just kind of let you go ahead and talk about all that. Yeah. Yeah, Kyle Cuff changed the game.
He did.
And then Lucas Taylor played well, man. Yeah.
Played well a lot.
You know, he was 4 for 6, 2 for 4, 3, 5 for 6 from the free throw line. Yeah. He played well, man. Got to get Elijah Moore back going.
Yeah, that's true.
Especially if Chris isn't going to be playing well. You got to be another shooter, man.
Yeah. Chris played well against, who was that?
Florida State.
Yeah, he played well against Florida State.
And I think he had 13 against Georgia Tech.
And Georgia Tech, yep.
And then he hit the back side of the backboard twice.
Yeah, he didn't play well.
All right, we got about 15 seconds here.
Okay.
Harding Mazzotti, 1-800-LAW-1010. ESPN Radio 97.7, 100.1, 1200 AM and 1440 AM. Watch your favorite ESPN Syracuse sports talk shows on QSportsTalk.com. This is the Etan and Devo Show. Here are former Syracuse standouts Etan Thomas and Eric Devendorf.
And we're back. So, E, let's talk about the win over the weekend versus BC. First question I got for you, and Donna DeTota put this in the Post Standard. She said the battles between the two centers, Eddie Lampkin and Venning from BC, was like an old Big East battle. I mean, it was, for me, I was saying it on the radio, it was like two offensive linemen or big defensive lineman, big offensive line just hitting each other as hard as they can, and then whoever controlled their body off the bumps was able to score. I mean, what's your take on the battle of the centers over the weekend?
No, that was a good description. You know, I remember my freshman year watching Donnie Abrams and Otis Hill do that very same thing, and they were just battling just like that. That's why I was like, oh yeah, I got to get in the weight room. They're doing some serious battling. But yeah, no, that's what it was, and it was a great game. They both had good efforts. I think the only thing with Lampkin is that you like his energy, and I heard a lot of the announcers, some of the people criticizing him when he got the tech and we got the that wasn't a tech back in our day. That's another moment.
It wasn't
for us.
a tech. E.
I was like, what did he do? Because I was like, oh my gosh,
loved it.
Yes, of course you want him to show emotion. You want him to show energy.
Exactly.
And he was walking away. If he had said something while he was walking away, it's not like he turned around, got right in the guy's face, and then I'm like, they're so quick to call these texts. I could go on and on about that. But no, I like the energy that he brings, and I want him to play with that energy, to play with that emotion, and he plays better when he's playing that way, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I mean, when we were doing the radio, and they gave him a tech on that, it was like he was fired up. Like they've been jawing back and forth a little bit the whole game.
Right.
Like, yeah, they're going at each other. It's a part of the game. Like it's competitive. It's a competitive spirit that you need to have to be able to win basketball games. So like, I don't know. I just didn't. And I think Roger Ayers is one of the best officials in the country. But that tech right there was unnecessary. I mean, those guys were battling hard, and it brought me back. We talked about it to like the old style of play where you're giving it down to your big. Yep. They're bodying up. Mm-hmm. They're playing physical, and yeah, that's what reminded me of those two guys going back and forth. But I mean, that's Eddie Lampkin's second straight double-double. He had 10 and 13, and then he had 10 and 12 against Georgia Tech the game before. So again, I think he's doing what's been asked of him. Mm-hmm. Like you want him to have a lot of energy, and he's a skilled big, right? He could pass the basketball. He has a high IQ, but I think this is kind of what more Red wanted to see from him, right? To be able to give him the ball down low and to make a play, whether it be at the rim or kicking it out for an opportunity for one of his teammates. But I mean, Eddie Lampkin 3 for 5. He had 3 offensive boards, 10 defensive boards, and he had 3 turnovers. You want to be able to cut down on the turnovers, but 3 assists as well. In 33 minutes of play, which is a big number. Mm-hmm. He has to be out on the floor for Syracuse to win, and especially tomorrow night against Louisville. Louisville is an undersized team who just shoots a whole bunch of threes, and they're not really a good three-point shooter. They just shoot a high volume, but he has to be on the floor and take advantage of that, of the size advantage or lack of size that Louisville has. But I just think against BC and G Tech, that's kind of the Eddie Lampkin that you want to see and you want to have out there.
I definitely agree, and I got to give Kyle Cuff some props. You know what I mean? Because I think that he really changed the game in that second half, and he's really been doing everything that's been asked of him as well. You mentioned Eddie Lampkin doing everything. I think he's been doing that as well. I'm a fan of his. He's a player who he wasn't getting the time in the beginning of the season, and his minutes are kind of sporadic. He's not always playing. There's some games where he hardly even played, and it's hard to play that way. I don't think that people and the fans really understand the difficulty of not playing consistent minutes. You don't know when your number is going to be called or if it's going to be called. You don't know what kind of leash that you have on once you get in there. So you don't want to play like you don't want to make a mistake and then not do anything. But it's a very difficult position to be in. But his attitude has always been great. From what we see, Coach was very complimentary of him in the post-game conference, said that he made him play him, which is something that says that he's been working hard in practice. He's been putting in the extra work. He's been doing what Coach asked him to do, and he comes in and he makes his contribution. That's what you want out of a player. That's like, Coach's dream. And so to see him having that success and to come in and be able to change the game in the second half like he did, he's an easy player to root for. So just wanted to give him a little bit of props, before we end.
No, we talked before the show. He was the guy that changed the game. Without him, Syracuse doesn't win the basketball game. I mean, he played 18 minutes, 3 for 4 from the field, 2 from 3. He had 10 points, 2 for 4 from the line. And like you said, he's a guy who comes in, regardless if he's going to play 5 minutes or if he's going to play 20 minutes. He gives it everything he's got. He's positive, always has a positive attitude. Great locker room guy. He doesn't have bad body language. So, I mean, yeah, shout out to Kyle Cuff. He's a guy that he is probably one of my favorite players on the team just because he's consistent with his attitude. And that's huge for a team, especially, when you're not playing particularly well, to have a guy like that in the locker room, it means a lot. So shout out to Kyle Cuff. But a few other guys. We got Lucas Taylor, who's been playing well, Jair Davis, and then obviously, getting your best player back, J.J. Starling, who's been averaging 20 points in his last 3 games. It just makes everybody's job much easier when J.J. Starling is on the court.
I really like the way that J.J. attacked the rim. and he was exploiting their defense. I don't know why they didn't adjust to it, to be honest with you, but he kept attacking from that high pick and roll. And they did it from the side pick and roll as well. Then he rejected the screen and just attacked it. And if it's going to keep working, then keep going to it, until the defense figures something out. And that was part of the offensive strategy that we mentioned earlier in the show that you have to give Coach Red his credit for, because he could have decided to go away from that and do something different. But if something is working, you keep doing it. And I think if he had a different strategy, I don't know if we win that game, because there was a little bit of time where we're looking for some scoring, where we have a little bit of a drought, where things aren't necessarily falling. And we're still not shooting the ball fantastically from outside. Is that a good way to say it? You know what I mean? Not fantastically.
Yeah.
We have room for improvement. But if we're not, if the 3-pointer's not falling, drive to the hole. And that's what JJ Starling did. And I thought that was great.
Yeah, so we told the fans in the beginning that it's going to be quick, and we have 30 seconds left for our show.
That was real quick.
that was quick.
Come on, Ed.
Real quick.
That was too quick.
Come on, extend it. Real quick, before we get off, we got about 20 seconds. Just give me your take on what Syracuse has to do tomorrow night versus Louisville to get a win.
Louisville's been playing great, so I just don't want the whole sky to be falling if Louisville doesn't come out and it's not a great game. Again, we have a lot to be positive. We have to build on those positive things from the last 2 games, and I would say keep driving the ball. But what do you think they need to keep doing? Because Louisville's been playing well. Got to admit.
Yeah, transition defense, give the ball to JJ, continue to be aggressive offensively, and then locate shooters. They're going to shoot a high volume percentage of threes, and then when they miss the shots, you have to rebound and not give second chance opportunities.
Definitely transition D. Definitely transition D. Yeah. We got to get back.
Yeah, absolutely. So, all right, E, well, that's all our time. Make sure you guys tune in next Monday.
You're going to be a full hour next Monday.
Okay.
Paulie has spoken.
Yes.
There we go. We didn't even get after everything that we wanted to talk about, E. So we got a full hour next Monday. Make sure you guys tune in next Monday, 11 a.m. We're going to go for that full hour to 12 o'clock. Shout out to Paulie for making it happen. Shout out to Ed for making it happen. And we appreciate you guys tuning in. We'll talk to you guys next Monday.
It's time for your best guess.